net zero policies, partly to blame for the fact that our economy is in the doldrums that it's in. But the latest news, Miliband has approved the biggest solar farm yet, the size of 1,700 football pitches, despite concerns that have been ongoing for many years about solar panels, pretty much all made in China, that they may well be made using Chinese slave labour. Well, let's talk about this with Andrew Montford, who's director of Net Zero Watch. Very good afternoon to you, Andrew.
Hello, Julia.
Hello, thanks for joining us. I mean, I drove past a bunch of these solar farms the other day, and they sort of make me my heart sort of sink, because they're so ugly and they're just such a bad use of our land. But one the size of 1,700 football pitches?
Isn't it appalling? And of course, it's not just the solar panels. It's all the pylons to get the power to market. There's going to be acres of battery farms as well, and hundreds of square kilometres of wind farms as well. And of course, Ed Miliband is a fanatic, and he doesn't actually care about the British landscape. He doesn't actually care very much that they're made by slave labour either. What he cares about is his faith that what he's doing is correct and that he's got to keep doing it, regardless of how much pain is caused to people here or to people in China.
Yeah, and again, I'd like to point out that Ed Miliband and I, the Let's Destroy the Economy with Net Zero Secretary, and I have exactly the same qualifications in this field, which is a PhD degree from Oxford, and I can absolutely sure that I can also add up, and the numbers don't add up. I mean, you're right. I mean, this is like quasi-religious fanaticism that we see from him. But again, the Prime Minister ultimately is the person responsible, because he can say no to this stuff. But this is even ignoring, because they're quite happy to ignore Chinese slavery concerns in the Labour Party, because it's just not convenient for them when it comes to this. Even if we did have solar panelled over the entire country, we still wouldn't make a tiny, even iota of difference to the carbon emissions in the world. And this is interesting, because we've had a letter today from those delightful folk that you and I love so well, the independent, completely unaccountable, unelected, appointed by the great and the good Climate Change Committee, who basically are the government's top advisors on climate change. These are actually a lot of them, again, no qualifications, no more than me in any of this stuff. They say that Britain must prepare for at least 2 Celsius degrees of warming, within just the next 25 years, so by 2050, rather than the 1.5 Celsius level most of the world has been trying to stick to under the 2015 Paris Agreement. Have we overshot? I mean, is it all over? Is humankind and the world already going to be destroyed? In which case, can we just give up now?
Well, no, the scientific evidence is that there has been very little impact of all the temperature rises we've seen. There's been no increases in floods, no increases in hurricanes, no increases in
sorry,
droughts.
Is it you saying that, or are there official figures to say
No, that is the official from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, table 12.12 of the Working Group 1 report, if you must know.
That's the kind of detail we're looking for.
Citation. People should go and look at that table. It's really interesting. Essentially, there is, for almost every meteorological and climate phenomenon you care to mention, they cannot detect a significant increase at all. So the idea that we're in some sort of a climate emergency it's a fairy story put about to frighten people. This is what religions do, if you like. You talked about Ed Miliband being part of a quasi-religion. This is what they're doing. They're trying to frighten people, and that way you can get them to do what you want.
Well, indeed, people have woken up. I mean, and of course, you've got, the Tory party now following the footsteps of the Reform Party, basically going, yeah, we're not really going to be playing along with this anymore. They play a little bit of, play a few words along the way, but they don't really think that this is going to fly. But here's the reality, though. I mean, look, we are coming out of a mini ice age, aren't we, from a few hundred years ago? So we are going to be getting slightly warmer. But the evidence, of course, is that even as the planet does get very, very tiny, slightly bit warmer, it is actually greening our planet, making it easier to grow more agriculture, and is a good thing for human beings and indeed animal and vegetation.
Absolutely. The Earth has been greening, and you can go and look at the UN data on crop yields. They're still going up. If we're meant to be in a climate emergency, they should be going down, but they break records almost every year. Now, people will say, but that's science. That's and I go, well, yes, it is science. It means we're adapting to climate change extremely well. There is no problem there at all. Yeah. You're right, though. I think this is coming to an end now. I think we can see that the writing is on the wall for the net zero fanatics. They know it's over. Electricity bills power bills don't need to go up for much longer for there to be utter chaos. And at that point, we will turn around. I'm sort of encouraged that we now have both Reform and the Conservatives talking about, maybe we should be ripping up these contracts. Reform have said they will rip up any new subsidy contracts given to wind and solar farms. That's great.
That bubble's going to burst.
Conservatives say they're thinking about it. So, I hope that this great big solar farm that Ed Miliband has just authorised, even with that authorization, we hope that the investors will just go, this is not worth the risk. We will be closed down. We'll lose our shirts, and that they'll walk away now. Indeed. And that will be very good for consumers.
Well, I mean, it is people like you and Net Zero Watch who've been putting out that information and providing that very, very rare counter to the, abject nonsense that gets spouted on most of our mainstream media on this subject. Andrew Montford, Director of Net Zero Watch, thank you so much. Of course, we're all in the pay of big oil. Honestly, I don't have time to do my show these days. The amount of checks I'm having to cash for big oil, big pharma, obviously, and big Israel. I mean, it's I genuinely, I don't even know why I bother coming to work anymore. I'm just so awash with all those checks for having views based on facts.
Yeah.
Old-fashioned, Claire. Fair's still old-fashioned.
Yeah, I think my bank manager wants to know where all those receipts are because I've not seen any of it.
On the Israel thing, I do keep asking. I've been told it's 7,000 shekels, or is it $7,000 or £7,000? Because one is £7,000, one is a couple and a half, one's like £2,500, and one is really £1,000. I'd rather be paid in pounds. Yeah. Are you allowed to request that when they're paying it? I think
you should.
I'm just saying, I just want to check these things. Anyway, my God, you never know these people. I am joking. But anyway,